Welcome back in. McElroy, Cubelic in the morning. I am live from Tuscaloosa. GMAC live in Lexington, Kentucky as we get set for games we'll be on this weekend. Other local action at 6 o'clock on ESPN Plus tomorrow night. You'll get Tulane at South Alabama. Interesting, Greg, because Tulane going to play both BYU transfer Jake Resloff and Iowa transfer Brendan Sullivan at quarterback. So John not necessarily done by seeing who his quarterback is going to be just yet. We mentioned it, a massive win for Tulane last week against a Big Ten opponent in Northwestern. Now they get South Alabama. Do you feel like there's a lean in that quarterback battle for the Green Wave?
No, I mean, I had kind of assumed that it would be Retzlaff.
I kind of did too, yeah.
But I couldn't even begin to tell you. I mean, I don't know enough about what their goals are down there to kind of give guys looks in the game like this. So it's a big game, obviously, and one that can absolutely be lost if, for whatever reason, they don't play well. So clearly they have a lot of faith in both guys.
Do you think that it is a dangerous spot for Oregon welcoming Oklahoma State to town 2:30 tomorrow on CBS and Paramount Plus?
That's a good question. No. Do you think it's dangerous?
A little bit. I mean, Montana State 59-13 in the opener, handled your business though. Give you credit for that.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what you take away from it. And Dante Moore looked fine. But you could also say the same about Oklahoma State and UT Martin week one. I don't know, what we look at there and say, oh, yeah, I think now because of this that I saw, they can go in there and get that game. I didn't think the run game for Oak State was where I thought it was going to be. Obviously, the last couple of years with Ollie Gordon, there's been more emphasis on it. But I just think that if you take Gundy's past, you take the way that they're going to operate from a personnel standpoint offensively, can they be a little bit problematic? The answer is probably no, but I feel like that's one that nobody's talking about. Therefore, could it be a little bit of a sleepy, maybe possibly upset game?
Yeah, it could be for sure. I don't think it's an upset. I'd feel a little better if Oklahoma State had their quarterback. Like Haas Haney, whether you think he's good or not, he at least had some serious mobility. That's not the case with Zane Flores. He's just not really a runner. He's not a guy that can extend. He's not really I don't know. He's just not one of those guys that's going to create on his own. And I do think, for as challenging as things may be for Oregon this year, I'm not sold on them by any stretch. I just don't know if you have a one-dimensional quarterback, if that's going to be a problem for a defense that has a pretty significant advantage from a talent standpoint.
Absolutely. So we'll see how that one goes. Illinois is at Duke, 11 a.m. on ESPN. That'll follow game day. Darian Mintz 389, 3 touchdowns passing in his first start for the Blue Devils. This is one where, listen, I like Illinois. I thought Illinois could challenge for the Big Ten this year. 52-3 against Western Illinois. I'm not taking a bunch away from that one, but especially early on the road, Greg, I would absolutely categorize this one as a be careful game for the Illini.
I'm taking Duke.
It is.
Flat out.
Just out of nowhere. Duke. Illinois 2.5 point
really.
favorite, by the way.
Yeah, I don't know if it's necessarily out of nowhere. I just think Altmaier's solid. I think a big part of this has to do with whether or not this Illinois team can hold up in protection. I don't think they were good last week up front offensive line-wise. I watched it. They gave up 3 sacks. 3 sacks against a team that's got Western in front of them, as a direction in front of them. It's not great. I mean, Western Illinois had 3 sacks against a group that had all 5 starters back. Their left tackle's got plantar fasciitis issues. I don't know how that affects his pass set. But he had it he was in a boot before camp. I know he's gone all through, but that doesn't just go away. The right tackle rolls his ankle in the game last week. They're giving up pressure. I don't think Altmaier's a guy that's great when the pressure's on. So I have some concerns about Illinois being able to hold up here, and I think Manny Diaz is going to breathe. I mean, he'll throw the kitchen sink at him now. You can say whatever you want about him. That dude he's got a fun defensive scheme, and they are really fun to watch. They are going to move and slant and adjust and twist, and they got a defensive tackle that can go. Really good player up front defensively. I think he's number 99. I'm trying to think of what his name is. Hall, I think is his name, and he's the real deal. So yeah, Hall 99. He's a handful. Kind of plays the nose, makes a lot of issues. They're going to get some interior pressure with him. They got some guys that can go off the edge. Like, I think this is going to be one where Duke forces at least 2 turnovers and pulls the outright upset.
There you go. Greg's first upset call of the season. There it is. Duke
That's
over
not true.
Illinois.
We took USF last week.
Oh, that was an upset, wasn't it? Still not sure how, but yeah, okay. We did. We both took that one. All right, Cy-Hawk Trophy on the line, 11 a.m., Big Boy Fox, big noon kickoff. Rocco Becht has 2 starts already this year, 461 yards, 5 touchdowns. Iowa, we know what this game means to everybody involved. I don't know what you get from them playing Albany and taking out the Great Danes last week. Gronkowski was 8 of 15 for 44 yards and a touchdown. Do you know who else completed a pass in the game for Iowa?
No.
Punter?
You and I talked about him.
Hank Brown.
You and I talked about him earlier this week, Greg. Yep.
Oh, no. Don't even.
Well, there's got to be a controversy because, I mean, you know he's better than Gronkowski.
It's Gronowski. Why are you putting him in the Gronk family?
Because he should be.
He kind of plays like one. I can live with it. There are some similarities.
Instead of baby Gronk, he's stepbrother Gronk. So we're gonna.
Well, he's got the biggest legs by a quarterback I've ever seen. But I'll say this: like, watching his tape last week, Bud, it was concerning.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're describing Iowa quarterbacks for the last decade plus, essentially.
He just looked really uncomfortable, and he missed a lot of layups.
Hank Brown will get it right.
Layups. Well, duh. He'd never thrown a pick until he went out there and threw 3 against Arkansas. So, I don't know. There were just a couple layups last week that really frustrated me, and there were a couple guys wide open in the end zone. He couldn't get it to him. Go look at, I don't even know what play number it is. It's early in the first quarter. It's probably like 10 minutes to go. He's rolling to his right. There's a guy wide open in the back of the end zone. Just float it over the top and just throw it. I mean, literally, you could throw it left-handed and the guy scores. Instead, he dirts it. He also, I mean, he just looked really uncomfortable last week. And guess what? Playing against this group, a little different. Little different. I'm not saying Iowa State's amazing, but they're pretty stout, and they're going to do a good job of making him uncomfortable. It's really going to come down to whether or not Iowa can run the football. If they can run the football, golden. If they can't, they got huge issues.
Yeah, Iowa State has to take Xavier Williams away. If you thought Iowa, after losing a running back to the draft last year, was going to be in some sort of drought there, they're not. Williams incredible. Just the next in line for Iowa and can get it done on the ground. So I'd agree with you there. Got to take him out. I'll go Iowa State to get the win here. Cy-Hawk Trophy, which direction are you going?
I think comfortably, by the way.
Ooh.
Like, I know that's
not only calling for upsets today, but calling for blowouts today. I like it.
I think they win by double digits.
Wow. Does Penn State cover 42.5 against FIU? 11 a.m. on the Big Ten Network.
I mean, FIU got raided in the portal. I see their guys everywhere. So you tell me.
They do have a couple guys at other places. They beat Bethune 42-9 in week 1.
Well, there you go.
All right. The one thing that I will say about FIU is Keon Jenkins can be a playmaker at quarterback. Now he's inconsistent and he'll throw you the football, but that's the only thing Penn State's got to be careful of. You got a guy that can get on the loose and maybe be problematic. Texas, San Jose State, Horns bounce back, covered 36.5.
Yes.
I'm just going to say I'll say this: no, Penn State's not covering 42.5, and no, I don't think Texas covers 36.5. I think it's too much. But they'll win.
It's a lot of points. I never like laying that many. If I were to guess, I like Penn State's chances of covering more than Texas's chances of covering.
Have you seen the
play?
tape on
the play with Texas is that they will not score. Like Texas, whatever team total under, excuse me, Whatever team total under you can find for San Jose State, take that, because they're not scoring on that Texas defense.
Have you seen the tape on East Texas A&M?
They played SMU last week, so yes.
Okay. Well, then what do you think they'll be against Florida State?
I think Florida State will be fine.
There you go. Florida State has East Texas A&M 11 a.m. on the ACC Network tomorrow. An intriguing one that we mentioned earlier in the show, Baylor SMU. 11 o'clock tomorrow morning, C-Dub is where you'll get it. Gerald Ford Stadium. 1-0 SMU against 0-1 Baylor. This now becomes a really big game for the Bears. You don't want to start 0-2. Now, they have, with Dave Aranda, kind of dug themselves out of a little bit of a ditch before. But, man, you're paying yourself in a corner, G-Mac, if you drop this one to SMU.
I mean, they still have everything in front of them if they lose it, because in the Big 12, all you got to do is win your league, right? And you're in.
Yeah.
They go 0-2 out of conference. It's not good for the Big 12's perception, but they're still in the mix. However, Dave Aranda last year really alleviated a lot of the pressure that he had on him going into the season with a nice 6-0 finish to the regular season after a 2-4 start. So does this kind of get him right back into the, oh gosh, here we go again type of situation? That's the question. I don't think they're going to quit on him by any stretch, but it's just, you had already built up some decent goodwill with how the script flipped last year, and an 0-2 start would kind of put you back in the cellar. I think Baylor gets this one. I watched SMU last week. I have some concerns about what I saw. I don't think they're anywhere near as disruptive along the defensive line as they were a year ago. That's concerning. I also look at some of their personnel in the back end. I think they're not as good in the secondary, and that's a little concerning. I think Jennings is a solid player. Like, I feel about Kevin Jennings a little like how you feel about Marcel Reed. The thing I feel about with Kevin Jennings is Kevin Jennings does have some baller moments. Like, he does some baller things. Like, with Marcel is a little bit more of a tactician, a little bit more, in rhythmic passer. Like, Kevin Jennings has that baller moment. But with that ballerness comes some risk and comes some things that he probably shouldn't do from time to time. Now, I really like watching him. He's fun to watch. He's really fun. But he got sacked 3 times last week. He maybe occasionally tries to do a little too much. He threw an interception in the red zone last week on a terribly thrown pass behind a receiver. Like, I don't know, in the end zone. I mean, there's just some things with Kevin Jennings where I just want him to iron out a few things for me before I feel great about it. But I like Sawyer Robertson significantly better here. I think Baylor actually has better personnel, so I like the Bears to take care of business on the road.
Man, that's weird. I didn't think you were going to go there, but I kind of do too. I think they find a way to get it done, and a lot of that's going to be need. And I think up front they will pose some advantages against SMU. It's not quite what they were a season ago there. All right, we're going to break down a couple of other games. There's one in the SEC that Greg said earlier with Stanford Steve's a little bit scary. I want to ask him why on the other side. And he's not scary for the team you're going to be imagining, by the way. You'll have to wait for that. But, Greg, one thing you never have to wait for is your dental care.
That's because Family Care Dental has you taken care of. The urgent care officer you can be seen the same day in several locations to make it easy on you: Hoover, Fultondale, Homewood, and Alabaster. You go and check out Family Care Dental. You'll see what I'm talking about. Call them today, 874-9605. That's 874-9605. Family Care Dental, 874-9605.
Is it bad when you said the wrong 3 numbers first? I knew you were wrong immediately. Just because I've heard it read so many times.
I mean, but no, you know it. I've done that before, though. For whatever reason, 8s and 9s, just get them flipped. 874-9605. There you go.
It's tough. Sometimes you get those mixed up. All right. Greg has interesting thoughts on Arizona State at Mississippi State. We're going to dive further into those when we come back next right here on a Max Ball Friday. Jox. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. One more segment before GMAC has to head off to meetings with the Kentucky staff. He's in Lexington. I'm in Tuscaloosa. Our games for the weekend. You bit off just a little bit of this Arizona State at Mississippi State matchup earlier when we had Stanford Steve on. I want to dive into it just a little bit further with you before you have to run GMAC. And before we get to that, I'm going to tell you about your CBD store. If you're suffering with sleep, if you have anxiety, arthritis, your CBD store has products that can help. Your CBD store, largest brick and mortar CBD retailer on planet Earth, first company to have USDA certified organic oil supplements. They've got the stamp seal on those products. If it's weight loss, the Trim by SunMed in stock now at your CBD store. You can go by, get yours, see what it can do for you. Maybe taking the edge off at night, better focus throughout the course of the day. Skincare, gut health for you or your pet. Your CBD store. They are open. Can help. Visit one of their 3 locations, Highway 280 by Bailey Brothers, 150 by the Cajun Cleaver, Trussville just off 459. Your CBD store where good health hits home. You were alluding to how Mississippi State can make this more interesting than maybe some people think. 6.5-point favorite. Arizona State is on the road. Now, their trainers were walking around ringing little miniature cowbells at practice. So they should be plenty prepared
What
for
more
what
you
they're going
need?
to be from the environment. It'll be just the same, exactly the same. Thought Blake Shapen looked sharp in the opener. Thought the receivers played well for Mississippi State. O-line a little bit better. Defense maybe less egregious with being out of position. Size up front looks a little bit better for the Bulldogs. What makes you think that they can keep this game close, maybe find a way to pull the upset?
I think the fact that they really did a good job of corralling Sam Leavitt last year. I think that this is a little different talent profile than what Arizona State is used to on a week-to-week basis. No disrespect to any of the Big 12 teams, but this is a little different animal. And I think Arizona State is not the most disciplined football team. If they get a little behind the sticks, that could be a problem. So I kind of just look at a few different things here, man. I think it's going to be hard, real hard, for Arizona State to communicate. I would not at all be surprised if, for whatever reason, this team goes out there and takes care of business. Like, I really wouldn't. I think Mississippi State could potentially hang. I think this is one that Levy's circled. I think this is one that has Arizona State kind of in an all-points bulletin, a little skittish, tough travel. I just think there's a lot of things about this game that line up really well for Mississippi State to make it very interesting.
I mean, yeah, as Kenny Dillingham said, there's nowhere to stay within 50 miles other than casinos, right? I mean, it's a tough travel game. It's not like 7 or 8 other schools do it every year, but like a tough travel game. Nobody else has ever done it. Is
it tougher than that one time that Penn State had to play at SC?
Well, they had to drive and fly for that game, if you recall.
Two flights.
They had to get on buses and airplanes, if you recall. So that was, you talk about a headache. I don't know how they
canceled
did it,
the season.
Honestly. Yeah, that was just, how did they not get a bye week for the next week just for fun? But that would be huge for Jeff Levy. If you didn't think Jordan Tyson was important to Arizona State last year when he got hurt, he had 12 for 141 and 2 touchdowns week 1. So he's going to have to be neutralized. Obviously, you're going against a quarterback that's not going to make a ton of mistakes. You have to force some of those mistakes. I did like the way that the State running backs got north and south. I thought the run game looked good. I thought the operation of the offense was clean. Shapen made quick decisions, good decisions. It's just going to be defense, man. Like, State's defense got to get ball carriers to the ground. At the end of the day, can you get ball carriers to the ground? Even if you give up a couple throws, no big deal. Tackle people. If they tackle, they'll have a good chance to win this game. I do think the environment helps. Game time temp 79. I was kind of hoping it was going to be like 89. Because with that humidity was kicking in, that might be, and I know people are going to say, it's hot in Arizona. It's different. When you get Mississippi State or like Starkville humidity, that could be something that played in the State's favor. It's different. So, that's one that I'm really intrigued with this weekend that I want to get a thought on. Want to get a couple other predictions from you before you go. You definitely said you're taking Duke there. We're taking Iowa State. I think we're both on the same page there. Final prediction for Florida, South Florida. You're not going to go Bulls here, are you?
I am not. I think Florida rolls.
Whoa,
I think
cover?
South Florida. Oh, yeah.
You think Florida's covering 17.5?
Yes.
From the man who hates DJ Lagway himself. Wow. We have come a long way.
I hate DJ Lagway?
I mean, you told us last year how terrible he was.
You're joking. Nobody loves DJ Lagway more than me. I just think I think last week was more of a referendum on Boise. And if you really look at that game, Boise had a handful of opportunities early in that game. First half of that game, they couldn't really punch it in. They couldn't really get it done. I think we're probably elevating South Florida just a little bit, and this is a completely different player that they're playing against.
That's fair. I think that the commotion that their front does cause, it's going to be a hit or miss against some of the zone stuff that Florida's going to bring. So they'll get a couple TFLs here and there, and then Jaden Bong, Jacoby Jackson will get a couple of their runs every now and then. I think it'll just depend on if Lagway hits his balls down the field. I mean, he had a couple that were there for the taking. One was thrown behind, one was overthrown last week. Not mad at him on those, but just if he's hitting them, they're going to get their explosives in. I'd be interested to see if this game is, say, 13, 14-point game in middle of the third, Greg, like how much Florida sort of takes their foot off the pedal. If they try to kind of slow this game down a little bit, because obviously South Florida can score quickly. They're going to need clock. Do you just start to drain it maybe earlier than some people may think? That's one aspect of this game that I think South Florida keeps a little bit closer than you do, just because that secondary for Florida is still a little bit questionable, and they're not going to have to hold up as long, but that'll be a fun one to watch. LSU La Tech, we have no concerns about this one for LSU, correct?
No.
Okay, moving on. Michigan, Oklahoma. I'm a little torn on this game. I'll be honest with you. I thought after I watched the Oklahoma film, there's no way I was going to like Michigan in this game. I actually do think I do see some things that Michigan can have pretty good advantages with in this matchup. The problem is you're taking a freshman starting quarterback for his second college start to Norman, Oklahoma, and that's not going to be easy against a defense that is just chaotic, frantic, and that's going to be a problem. I don't think he'll get a ton of throws unless they have to late. Which direction are you going in this one?
I'm going Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma has an advantage at quarterback, even though I really like Underwood. I think it's a different animal. I think we saw just the bare minimum of what we're going to see from the weapons from Oklahoma this week. I think the tight ends are a problem for sure, not just in the pass game, but a block game from Michigan. I think that's a really good crew. But I just think Oklahoma has more firepower, and that ultimately is going to be what gives them the advantage in this game.
I think Michigan's going to want to slow it down. I think they try to keep possession. I think they try to keep the ball out of Mateer's hands. I think their D-line can be somewhat disruptive. You brought it up earlier, new tackle. Michigan can still get it off the edge, and those Oklahoma tackles have got to be solid. If John Mateer can move and he can throw on the run, all those things, I just don't want him to have to do that very often if I'm Oklahoma. I think they get the win, but I think Michigan keeps it close. I think it's a good one. Finally, before we let you go, just your thoughts on what you think we're going to get from Alabama tomorrow night, 6:45 on the SEC Network against Louisiana Monroe at home.
I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. Like, I think this is a better test than people realize. Like, I really do. I think this is a much better test than people realize. Like, I think Louisiana Monroe can do some things offensively that are a challenge. With some misdirection, with some stretch zone, trying to attack Alabama where they've been a little vulnerable in the past. So we're going to learn a lot about them. If they come out and take care of business and workmanlike, and that means they're not listening to the outside noise, they're singularly focused, I'm going to feel great. That's all I want. That's what I want from a fan standpoint. I want them to come out singularly focused and to set the tone early with their defense and protecting the edges and the linebackers flowing over the top and being physical. Like, if they do that, I'm going to feel great about it. But man, if it looks anything like last week, it's going to be a problem, right? It's going to be concerning. And I don't want them to be tight. If for whatever reason Louisiana Monroe drives the ball a little bit there in the first half, scores a couple points, and the game, say, I don't know, let's say the game's 17-10 at half. Like, no panic. Like, just relax. Second half, adjust. Don't allow the negativity that could permeate the environment in Bryant-Denny to affect your performance. That's what I want to see more than anything else.
Is there one specific aspect that would put you at ease if you saw it early? An individual doing something, a position group doing something that you're saying right now, I got to get this early from this team if I'm going to feel good about them tonight?
Yeah, I want to see the offensive line firing off the ball. I want to see the offensive line absolutely moving and reestablishing the line of scrimmage. If they do that, I feel great about it.
Okay. All right.
You agree? Is that number one?
No, number one for me is just striking your opponent on defense. D-line, linebackers mainly.
Cool. I'm good with that too.
That.
That would have been number two for me. That's number two.
And I think maybe the only reason I don't go with you is what I saw in the first drive. So I think it's in there. I believe that it's there. I believe they have it. And so like I saw almost none of that from the front seven. I got to see that to believe it because I haven't been able to believe it yet. I believe it in the O-line. For different reasons, got away from it somewhat, but I saw it at least. There's film of it, so I can live with the fact that we can replicate that. I don't know if we can replicate things that haven't happened yet. That's where my problem is with the front seven. So have a good call, man. We'll catch up Monday.
All right, boys. Roll Tide.
All right, G-Mag, you too. Thanks for that. I mean, I am in the Alabama facility right now with the giant script A behind me on YouTube if you're watching, but yeah, either way. When we come back, we're going to talk to Chris Lowe. An article he and Andy Staples have up at On3 on some of the things being said behind the scenes, apparently, this Alabama program. That's next right here on Jox. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Going to go right to the Higginbotham hotline. Welcome in Chris Lowe, now of the On3 Sports Network. in a very interesting article that is up now from you and Andy Staples discussing some quotes that were given behind the scenes for our listeners that maybe hadn't had a chance to check out the article yet. And Chris will share it from our account via Twitter. What are some of the high-ranking officials, maybe not even officials, but boosters behind the scenes saying about where this Alabama football team is?
Nobody's telling me, Cole, that they think it's time to pull the plug on Kalen DeBoer, which is, I point out in the article, it would be absurd 14 games into the guy's career. It's just that there's real concern about what they've seen on the field. And, it's not just that they lost to Florida State. It's sort of the way they're losing. That there's been a pattern of sorts that, they're not as physical as other team. They're getting punched in the mouth and they don't respond. They've looked uninspired. They've looked listless at times. They're just not playing winning football on a consistent basis. And I think that's the key word here, consistency. And, one of the guys I talked to said, hey, and he admitted, he said, listen, we're spoiled as a fan base. But there's a difference in sort of being spoiled and griping over not winning enough games after you come in behind a guy like Nick Saban, who won every single week seemingly in 6 national titles, and playing the way we have. That's, I think, by and large, the people. And trust me, I talked to more than 1 or 2 people, the people that really, have been invested in that program for a long time, that university are most concerned about right now. But I want to be very clear on this. No one has said to me, and I've 20 years of covering that program, I've got to know a lot of great people over there, hey, it's over. This guy can't do it. Let's pay him the money. But yeah, you hear that on message boards and on talk shows from fans. But I don't think they're close to being there yet. They just want to see this thing turn around to where they feel like when they watch Alabama play on Saturday, they're playing at the level that Alabama has long played at.
We're visiting with Chris Lowe of the On3 Sports Network. Article up now on some things being said behind the scenes with Alabama football. I just happen to be in the facility doing the radio show today, as I'll go to practice after our show and then meet with coaches after that. Chris, I've said for a long time that the most impressive accomplishment by far, in my opinion, of Nick Saban was mitigating this right here. And this was gone. Should we be concerned? Should Alabama fans be concerned that this type of thing is resurfacing this quickly?
Well, yeah, I think there's always that. And that's the thing that was different about that program under Nick, is he had all that at arm's length. Okay, he didn't deal with that. Now, the reality is after his first year, which was not great, they were consistent as consistent could be, and his teams played a certain way, and I don't think really there was anything that happened that would give fans reason to act like this, or boosters, or say some of these things. But I think it's more too, I think Kalen has probably taken on the toughest replacement job in college football that I can remember, Cole, all the years I've been doing this. I can't think of another one that's really close to this. And he comes in after Alabama had gone to the playoff, had won the SEC title. So it's not like he was taking over a program that he was rebuilding. And that probably made it even worse. I think that the third thing is he's such a genuinely nice guy, a good guy who's pleasant to be around. There's so many good things about him. And as I point out in the article, I don't know anybody that knows him, who has coached with him, has coached against him, who's played for him, who thinks this guy is somehow not up to this challenge. He's smart. He's won everywhere he's been. But this is a different animal at Alabama. And when you have the kind of inconsistency that they've shown and play the way that they have, or really probably more accurately, don't do some of the things that they've not done in the last 10 games, you're going to open the door to this kind of thing. And I think that's where we are right now. I still think they're good enough and talented enough, Cole, to turn this thing around and be a team that's a playoff team, and be a team that's there in the conversation in November. But some things got to change. It's got to translate onto the field. And if you put on the tape and watch them in too many games over the last 10 games, some of those same things continue to happen. And for whatever reason, I think this is probably the fairest criticism of all. The players, the team, just haven't consistently responded to Kalen and the staff. And I don't know why. I've been to practice. I've watched them practice. They get after it. It's physical. players are held accountable. The tempo, the pace of practice is exactly what you expect it to be, but they haven't played key games to that level.
Yeah. Chris Lowe of the On3 Sports Network joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. What does that make, based on the people you talk to both behind the scenes and the people you've talked to around the program, what does that make this weekend only, this tomorrow's night's game? What's on that game? What's on the line for this one, based on everything that's being discussed, said, thrown around right now?
You know, and I hate to be cliche here, but to come out and play like this is a Super Bowl. Doesn't matter who they play. And be physical and put this team away early and have a lot of guys play like their hair's on fire. And which is, I mean, you know what I'm describing. I'm describing the way they played under the last guy, you know, the nameless, faceless opponent. So I think that's what fans want to see. Is it not any hesitancy? Because that team looked hesitant, especially on defense. But not just defense. It's not fair to just beat up on the defense. They look hesitant against Florida State, Cole. So I think to come in and to really, you know, assert their will and be a dominant football team from the outset and play that way the rest of the game.
Yeah, and the importance of this one, like, is it important to, in different ways, to show that now? Is this game tomorrow night going to be graded with more of a fine-tooth comb? Is it going to be under more of a microscope because of all these things?
I think so, but they're going to be on the microscope the rest of the way. Every time they play, and you know that. You've played at that level. You've been around college football. That microscope is going to be it's going to be there the rest of the way. And there's just no way getting around that. And even though they may play a team, you know, like ULM that they should beat by a ton of points, everything's going to be scrutinized a little bit more going forward. I don't know that Kalen DeBoer is completely caught off guard by this. He knew what he was signing up for. He understood the challenge. And again, if you go back and read the article, we point out in there that he is a guy that ran to this challenge. He embraced it. He understood what Nick Saban had been and the expectations that surround that program. His expectations are equally high. But I don't think any of us, me included, until you really walk in those footsteps of coaching a program like Alabama, until you're there in the middle of it, you can't ever know completely what it's like. And certainly he's getting a dose of it right now. Anybody would have. I don't care who would have come in after Nick Saban. You learn, and you learn pretty quickly sort of what you got into. I personally think Kalen's made the right stuff. I really do. I've gotten to know him pretty well. I'm sure he probably wasn't jumping up and down about reading that the other day. I do think it, you know, I went back and read it multiple times before we published it. It was even-handed and balanced as far as what they face and the fact that you can't really judge any guy after 14 games. But also it would be disingenuous of me or anybody to say that the way they played at this point comes close to the standard that Alabama fans and Alabama boosters and power brokers and everybody there who loves that program are used to. And let's see if they can get it back. I think they've got the talent. I like the fact that he's brought in some new guys. He's mixed his staff up, bringing in Ryan Grubb as his OC. Let's see how Ty Simpson continues to grow. That was only his first game as a starter. So there's a lot there. And I think it also needs to be pointed out, Cole, they're playing right now without two of their best players. Jam Miller, their top running back, did not play. And an even bigger loss in my mind is Tim Keenan, who was the rock in the middle of that defensive line. And you saw them get pushed around for 240 yards on the ground. I think if he's in there, it's a little bit of a different story, and they hope to get both those guys back, certainly by Georgia.
Yeah. What do you think? I want to hear from you, knowing the things that Coach Saban was saying before he walked away about where things are, how things are, what you have to manage, what you have to deal with, and then now knowing what they are with a new head coach and what that transition was going to be like. How would you describe that to fans, that the things that Coach Saban sort of saw coming, knew he was going to have to manage, deal with, that are omnipresent now in college football, and you go through this shift at the same times, that are just looking at this saying, hey, this guy can't get it done?
At the top of that list, and I think this is probably what we all forget, Cole, it's every one of the players now has an agent, every single one of them. Some of those agents are good. Some of them aren't so good. Some of them have the kid's best interest at heart. Some of them have their own best interest at heart. And so they're in their ear every single week, every single game, every single season. And that's different than it used to be. You might have a brother or an uncle or somebody that was in your ear, and they probably, a lot of these kids still do. But now you have an agent, and there's money at stake. There's NIL money. There's a kid that's maybe, has turned an ankle, and you got agents saying, well, you know what? You don't want to put any bad tape on the film, so maybe you need to sit out a little bit longer. And in some cases, they'll have them meet with their own doctors. I'm just sort of giving you different examples. That
Sure.
was a part of the game I know that Nick was not used to, no coach was used to, and didn't like. And then coming back in after a season, and he's thinking, all right, what do we need to do to get back and sort of fill in the blanks and get better to get back and win a national championship? That's all he's thinking about. And you get back and you're hit with this player or that player saying, hey, coach, I want to, redo my deal, or this is something I want written into my deal. Those are the types of things as he got done with the Michigan game a couple years ago that not that he couldn't have adjusted, because I think he's probably done that or did that better than any coach ever, evolved and adjusted. But that was a part of the game that he just didn't sign up for. And not that he couldn't have continued to win at a high level. I know some people say, well, he left when the game changed. No, he was 73 years old. He'd done it at a high level forever. He was ready to do some things with his family, specifically Miss Terry. And then when you added all the rest of it in there, he just felt like it was a good time for him to walk away.
Yep. Well, Chris, we appreciate the time today, man. It's an interesting article, intriguing to see kind of what's happening behind the scenes in certain facets of it. And we'll see tomorrow night kind of how this group bounces back.
Will do, Cole. Thanks for having me, man. Take care.
Yes, sir. Congrats on the new job as well. Appreciate you hopping on. Chris Lowe now with the On3 Sports Network, joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline, talking a little bit of Alabama. We'll get to maybe what this one's going to look like. What are we looking for? What do we want to see on the other side? First, I'll tell you about Gusty Goulis and the Gusty Goulis Group. If you want to get into a new home, why would you not call the Gusty Goulis Group at 205-542-1996? They've only served more than 3,000 home buyers and sellers in the greater Birmingham area. Recognized nationally, locally as Greater Birmingham's #1 team in homes sold. Over 850 five-star Google reviews. So go to GustyGoulsGroup.com right now. See what they can do for you. Button at the top of the page. Smash that button. Very little information. They're going to tell you what they think they can get for your home right now. Brokered by eXp Realty, it's the Gusty Goulis Group. Google Gusty Goulis Group or go to GustyGoulsGroup.com today and start packing. All right, when we come back, bad box scores, plural, of the day, and Super Sofa Game of the Week. Next, Mac and Cube in the morning. Welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. One more segment to go before we hand it off the three-man front and get you into another football weekend. NFL coming up tonight. College football coming up tonight. You got Chiefs and Chargers on YouTube at 7. But we're going to get into our bad box scores of the day and then roll that into our Super Sofa game of the week here in just a moment. But we go to the junior college ranks first for our bad box scores of the day.
Personal foul, 69, offense. He was giving them the business.
Intentional grounding, offense number 7. It's a 10-yard penalty. I'm talking to America here, excuse me.
That's the game.
Now, going against just a little bit of what the segment is called, the Rochester Community and Technical College.
They're the Rockets.
They're not.
No, I feel like
Makes sense where you'd go with that, but
they're
no.
the Ramblers.
Well, there's a Georgia Technical College that is the Yellow Jackets, and as the Rochester Community and Technical College are also that. They just snuck past the Minnesota North College Vermilion.
They are
Conquistadors.
No.
Nope.
They're the Huskies.
They're the Iron Hawks,
Ooh, all right.
and they brought no medal to the fight, going down 64-0 last night in junior college action. Now, unfortunately, not on either school's website, not on the junior college website, not on any website do we have the box score. So I'm just going to give you the score and let you know what
Our
took
bad
place
score
there.
of the day.
It is the bad score of the day, and I'm sure there's a box score somewhere that may be posted at some time. But for now, that's all we have. In Division III matchup, the Cornell College.
They are the Cowboys.
They're not. No.
Are they the Red?
They're the, well, close. Rams.
Oh, okay.
Almost there. A couple A letter right, maybe. They just snuck past the College.
They're the Colas.
Cougars.
They are the College, COE College, Hawks, KO Hawks.
Okay. Can't even be a full Hawk. Have to half-ass it. All right.
No, it's KO. Hashtag Cohawk Nation. I don't know
okay.
the difference of a
Cohawk.
Cohawk is versus a regular Hawk or any other Hawk. The Cohawks won 62-6. Though.
Okay.
I do know that.
Use a Co. Way to go.
And I will actually take you into just how bad the box score was. Your first down differential, College 30-10.
Okay.
Triple up.
Your rushing differential, just 187-59. So not,
It's not terrible.
Another
but-
triple up.
completely out of this world. Yeah. But the passing differential is 392-76.
Okay.
That's what it was.
Air raid.
That would put your total yardage differential at 579-130.
Okay, yeah.
That's
Not great. It's just not the best.
That was the
not
one
a
thing
decent-
that got him. The one thing. That was it.
Co punted once. Cornell punted 7 times. And Co would kick off 10 times for 574 yards.
There we go. Okay,
So,
look at that. Something positive on the box
shout out to
score.
Legatron.
Maybe something, if that's a positive you're looking for. Cornell just 2 of 12 on third down, 1 of 2 on fourth down. They went to the red zone once in a game.
Okay.
One trip to the red zone.
Andy Bernard's not happy.
Hey, and unfortunately, College 8 of 9 on extra points. Not good. You gotta
Okay.
go back to the drawing board there.
Couldn't even do that.
Get a little
right.
lazy.
Couldn't even do that.
Yes. Brady Kelly for College, 16 of 19, 291, 3 touchdowns passing.
Okay.
Efficient day. And obviously, Luke Smith would come in and go 7 of 12, 84 yards and a touchdown. So the two quarterbacks for Cornell, they 10 of 18 for Thomas Munkin. No idea if it's a relation to Jeff there. And Brennan Arthur would come in and go 2 for 5 for 22 yards and 2 interceptions. It's not the best day.
Right, so he
It's
didn't-
just not. There have been better days. I've seen them.
Okay.
Been better days. We'll stay with Division III football. The North Carolina Wesleyan. I'm just going to tell you this is one of the more fun nicknames we've had.
So they're the Blue Dragons.
They are not.
No, they're the Warbirds.
They are the Battling Bishops.
Okay.
All right.
I'm here for
It's
it.
different.
Okay.
I love it. They just snuck past Averett University.
They're the Knights.
They're not.
Cowboys. Sounds country.
Cougars.
Mm, okay.
Wow.
I don't know where Averett is, by the way. but they did just barely get past them last night, 64-12.
64-12. It's in
Now,
Danville, Virginia.
23. Well, they played at Bishop Stadium in Rocky Mount, North Carolina.
Hey.
Rocky Mount. 23 points in the first, 20 in the second, which meant 14 in the third and 7 in the fourth. That's a bad coach. We know that.
Yeah.
Local Alabama media tells us that guy can't coach. That's it. Now, the Bishops on the ground, 396 yards.
Ground and pound, baby.
Now, here's Seagraves, 152 himself, including an 86-yard touchdown. Trey Seacrest, 83 yards and a touchdown.
Okay.
Kendrick Melton, 2 rushing touchdowns on the day. And Zamrin Winborn also had a 16-yard rushing touchdown in the fourth.
Get you some.
So, needless to say, it was a bad box score day. Another one on the ground as well. Dominated on the ground. All right, let's get to our Super Sofa Game of the Week, brought to you by TD's Fine Furniture. Here's how this works. If you got one, which would it be this weekend to watch? You only get to watch one. For me, I'm going Oklahoma, Michigan. I want to see a freshman quarterback on the road. I want to see that Michigan O-line against a great Oklahoma D-line, and then maybe even vice versa, a good Michigan front against that Oklahoma offensive line that struggled.
I'm going to the state of Mississippi. I got to watch my arch rival, Mississippi State, see if they can knock down the number 12 ranked Arizona State Sun Devils there in Stark Vegas. For my TD's Fine Furniture Super Sofa Game of the Weekend, 6:30 on ESPN2.
For me, it's Illinois Duke. It doesn't seem like a very fun matchup, but if Greg's calling for the upset, I think I'm going to go for it. That's my Super Sofa Game of the week, and you can find your Super Sofa or furniture for the entire home at TD's Fine Furniture. The store is the size of 2 football fields, so there's plenty to choose from at TD's Fine Furniture in Summerton.
Appreciate you guys tuning in. Go get the podcast, JoxFM.com. Go rewatch YouTube. Search Jox945, and keep it locked right here as Three Man Front comes to you next.